tree. On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 10 lords a-leaping,
9 ladies dancing,
8 maids a-milking,
7 swans a-swimming,
6 geese a-laying,
5 gold rings, ba-dum-bum-bum,
4 calling birds, 3 French hens,
2 turtle doves,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 11 pipers piping,
10 lords a-leaping,
9 ladies dancing,
8 maids a-milking,
7 swans a-swimming,
6 geese a-laying,
5 gold rings, ba-dum-bum-bum,
4 calling birds, 3 French hens,
2 turtle doves,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 drummers drumming,
11 pipers piping,
10 lords a-leaping,
9 ladies dancing,
8 maids a-milking,
7 swans a-swimming,
6 geese a-laying,
5 gold rings, ba-dum-bum-bum, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
All I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth, my 2 front teeth, my 2 front teeth. Gee, if I could only have my 2 front teeth, then I could wish you Merry Christmas. It seems so long since I could say, Sister Susie sitting on a thistle. Gosh, oh gee, how happy I'd be if I could only whistle. All I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth, my 2 front teeth, my 2 front teeth.
Jeremy's about 15 minutes away. So we thought he should get to stand you with something. So we got our fantastic choir from Bedford. They're going to sing a few Christmas songs here. So please welcome Bedford Barrel Choir Team.
Please do join in if you know the words. They're lovely.
Wish you
first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly, holly, holly. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Now the holy bears a berry, as blood is its red. Then trust we our Saviour, who rose from the dead. And bearing our Jesus, our Saviour for to be. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly, holly, holly. And the holy name, most highly favored lady.
take it for photograph. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, guys.
That'll be right. Yeah, standing by.
Thank you.
Dickers, right.
Thank you, thank you.
Going down now, okay.
Thank you very much for coming here today. As you know, this is election eve. We are having most important election in our lifetime. And you have done so much already in Bedford and Kempston. You know that we have to win Bedford and Kempston to send Jeremy Corbyn to number 10. Thank you for braving the weather. Thank you for your wonderful support we got since I got elected in 2017, and our campaign started there and then. We are ready for this election tomorrow. Without any more delay, I would like to introduce our great friend, the friend who stood up for the people who suffered in this country and around the world, who stood up against injustice and racism all his life. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to welcome the leader of the opposition and the new Prime Minister next 36 hours, Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Bedford and Kempston. Thank you, Mohammed, for all your work as the MP. And it was such a great pleasure to be here at the very start of your campaign in 2017. I arrived here the first morning, I think, and we had a speech out there in the street, and it was incredible. And I want to say thank you to all of you for your support for him and also the work you're doing in this campaign now. I've been to, I think I'm right in saying this, 84 constituencies so far in this election campaign, all over the country, and we're on a 500-mile journey on the last day of the campaign. We are getting our message out absolutely everywhere. So when the media go into their paroxysms of rage against individuals in the party, and their endless analysis of what they think ought to happen and what might happen, frankly, they're way out of touch. They're way out of touch with what people are actually saying about their lives in this country and about the importance of this election. And so, all I can say to you is this. The polls open at 7 tomorrow morning. 7 tomorrow morning in 12 hours' time. Please be there and get ready for a very long day of work in order to make sure every single person that you've identified as a Labour voter comes out and votes. And those people you see wandering about, who may not have been identified, stop them and talk to them. And listen to what they have to say. Make it the atmosphere on the streets and the atmosphere in the community on the day. Because elections can also be fun. My former agent, Nigel Mason, is here somewhere in the audience. He knows how miserable I am on election day. But he can tell you that later. But it's also about the message we're giving. This country now has 4 million children living in poverty. 135,000 children will wake up on Christmas morning not knowing they will have somewhere safe to live in a few months or even a few weeks' time. 1 million people stare at their mobile phone, not out of waiting for a message from a friend, as most of us do most of the time, waiting for news if they've got any work the next day or the next week on 0 hours contracts. And 1.5 million people accessed food banks last year. And I get these sad messages of people saying, can you do something to promote our food bank? We're running out of food already. But then you ask yourself a question, why is all this happening? Why is all this happening? Then you look at the figures and you find that the average working class communities' disposable income, spending power, whatever term you want to use, has fallen by about 25% since 2010. 2010 was the year the Liberal Democrats and the Tories took the political decision to impose austerity on this country. And that austerity isn't just the things I've already mentioned. It's also the boarded up shops, the dead high streets, the closed youth centres, the out of priced sports facilities, the libraries that are barely open, and so on, as local government have taken the pain and the heat for all of this. And then you look at the care needs of people and the NHS. Stories yesterday about that little boy on the floor in a hospital in Leeds. Stuff I've been told today from very good sources, indeed friends of mine, about somebody who went into A&E yesterday with a serious problem, is on a trolley 24 hours later. And that is not unusual. I'm not blaming anyone who works in the NHS for this, by the way. And you then look through the whole gamut of public services, and you find 40,000 nurse vacancies in the NHS, you find shortage of doctors, and you see that all the way. And then you recall the words of David Cameron, or some of us do anyway, when he stood up in Parliament and said, we're all in this together. No, they're absolute nonsense. And you then look at the other statistics. Britain, a country of now 150 billionaires. And of the very wealthiest, they've seen their wealth double in the past 10 years through a combination of inflation in property prices, land values, and tax write-offs and money they can put away in tax havens. And they say our manifesto is too radical. Well, our manifesto is the product of a lot of people's thoughts and work. It's a serious manifesto and it's fully funded, and we've put ourselves out there to be questioned on this. I take questions on our manifesto, John McDonnell does and everybody else. I don't have to go and hide in a fridge when somebody comes and so we're out there accepting the democratic scrutiny that is so important in an election campaign, and the other party's doing something else. They are funded by the billionaires, but sadly only 50 of these billionaires. The other 100 must be really mean, because they really do owe the Tory party something. You know? I think it's not very nice actually. And we have raised our money from our friends in the trade unions that are affiliated to our party, people in work who contribute to their union subs, which also goes on political funds. And I am proud to be a trade union member, and I will be a trade union member all my life. And then we've raised now, I've just got the total today, £5 million for our election fund. And that £5 million has come from 200,000 people giving £25 each to our campaign. I'm proud of £25 donations. I'm proud of the support that people who are not well off are giving, because they see in our campaign, they see in our manifesto something of the kind of world they want to live in. And so when Boris Johnson goes off secretly, and for that matter Theresa May and Liam Fox, to the USA to have a discussion with them about trade arrangements in the future, we demand the papers under Freedom of Information, and they come back. They must have bought a lot of Sharpies to cross out all those lines. All those Sharpies crossed out all those lines, not one word of it appeared. Then we checked the US documents, which confirmed that the US were demanding, as the price of a trade deal with Britain, access to public services and our National Health Service. And then we revealed the entirety of those documents. It's about extending the patent life of medicines to drive up the price of our medicines, because Donald Trump thinks American medicines are being sold too cheaply around the world. And so it goes on. Access to public services, access to our National Health Service, and so on. Well, the last time I looked, what they call a health market doesn't exist in Britain. We shut that down in 1948 when we established the National Health Service. So, somebody said to me, why do you make the NHS a political issue? It was a political decision to establish the National Health Service as healthcare as a right, free at the point of need for everybody. It's a political decision. It's It's a political decision by the Tories and the Liberal Democrats to put 10 billion of private contracts into the National Health Service. It's a political decision by them to underfund the NHS. We will put the money in that is necessary, £26 billion to go into the NHS, and we will end student fees and reinstate nurse bursaries so that we will get the doctors and the nurses of tomorrow, because that is all some of the things that are in our manifesto, and I'm so proud of that manifesto and what it can do. Boris Johnson has shown himself to be rather loose with the facts. Facts to him are a mirage that exists one day and disappears the next. For example, the day after he was appointed Prime Minister, he turns up in Parliament and says, we're going to build 40 hospitals. 40 hospitals. 40 hospitals. And so I said to him, well, where are they? So I don't know. There'll be an announcement later on. A week later it was 20. A week after that it was 6. A week after that it was seed funding for consideration of the possibility of building 6 hospitals. It's nonsense. You cannot govern this way. You cannot trust somebody. And when 80% of Tory party adverts on Facebook were found to be inaccurate, and not one of ours has been found to be inaccurate, you see the quality in the campaign. So when you go out tomorrow to campaign in this election, when you go out to get Mohammed elected, I just say this to you. You're doing it to build a country fit for the next generation. You're doing it for the WASPy women. You're doing it for social care. You're doing it for the NHS. You're doing it to properly fund our schools. You're doing it to give our children free nursery places, school dinners, and good quality education, including music and arts in primary school. And you're doing it because we believe the best way of confronting climate change and the environmental disaster is to invest in a green industrial revolution that will create the high quality, good jobs of tomorrow and also help to defend our natural world. There's so much in this manifesto that is so far-reaching and so well thought out. Why? Because it came from all of you. It came from members of the party, it came from trade unions, it came from different interest groups and lobbies and so on. And I think it's absolutely brilliant what we've got there. And I'll be so proud when we've won this election, when you've re-elected my good friend here to be your MP, and we can then take that case into government. Don't stop there, because building Sure Start centres, properly funding our schools, reinvigorating our local government, taking into public ownership mail, rail and water, and running them democratically, dealing with the issues of the climate change and what we do in every community and every locality are so very, very important. Our party, our movement, 500,000 of us, has got to be active all the time in carrying through that programme of that Labour government. And I'm so excited at all the prospects ahead of us. So, be of good cheer and be of good confidence. Go out tomorrow, snow, hail, rain, sleet, sunshine, or whatever it is. I've seen all of that today. I started off at 7:30 this morning in a public rally in Glasgow. And even at 7:30 in the morning, there was a lot of people at a rally in governing Glasgow. And so I'm getting the most unbelievable death stare from my team at the moment, telling me, Jeremy, if you don't get off the stage now, you're going to miss the rally in your own constituency tonight. They will kill you if you don't get there. So can I say, re-elect Mohammed, make Bedford Labour and win the general election for Labour!